Okay, so we're gonna have a cooking lesson. Cooking with Sue. Cooking with Mom. Because this one's for Trevor, who wants a little assistance in the cooking area. And so first off, I'm starting with a Pinot Grigio. This is not for the dish I'm making at all. This is for me, because cooking requires a little vino, because that's what it's about. It's about enjoying what you're doing and making it an event. So we're going to start out with a little Pinot, put some in the fridge. I can find my little stopper. And okay, so tonight we're making sausage and peppers, and we're using turkey sausage. I got the butterball kind. It's all turkey meat, and because it's a little better for you than pork, and I try not to eat a lot of pork, but it does require a couple of things that you have to do. Mainly you have to put a little oil in the pan because it doesn't have as much fat as pork does. So I use olive oil always, and so we're going to put olive oil in it. I'm going to heat a pan up on my electric stove to about 7. Get this nice, decent sized pan with a lid that I'll use later. That's gonna. But first, I want to cut the casings off the sausage, because even though you're not eating pork, sometimes these things are made with pork intestines, it's really kind of gross, and so I don't want to eat that. So I take these and I cut them all, and I take them out of the casings, and I just use the meat. So you just kind of slice them down. It's kind of gross, but you peel these nasty little casings off, and we won't make any comments about that because that would be inappropriate, and this is a family show, so we're gonna just do this while the pan is heating up. Take all the nasty little casings off and let the pan heat, and I'm going to put a little bit of oil in there in 1 second and let that heat up. And in the meantime, okay, so a little oil in the pan, and we're just going to take these and put them in here. We're going to break them up into chunks and let them cook in little chunkies. We break them up. I had a little screen that kept the spatter from coming out, but I don't know what the heck happened to it in the move. Actually, I had like 3 of them when I moved, but aha, I missed a piece of the casing. Aha, sneaky bugger. All right. Holy Moses, I missed another one. I was distracted by, there was a huge carpenter ant that was crawling up my toaster, so it was a good time that I turned the video off and smashed that little monkey to kingdom come. Listen, I am about God's creation and God's creatures and taking care. But let me tell you something, when the bugs or other critters come in my house, they're in my territory, and it doesn't usually end well for them. So I got a package of stoplight peppers, red, yellow, and green. I'm actually going to the DMV in North Carolina tomorrow to get my North Carolina license, so they might ask me what these colors mean on the stoplight. So we all know that a red means, you know, you better stop, right? Yellow means what? It means speed up and get through the intersection quickly because it's going to be yellow. No, that's not what it means. We're really not supposed to do that, but you know we all do. And then green, of course, is go. So we are gonna wash these and cut them open and remove the seeds. And meanwhile, this is cooking. And we'll let that brown up good. Keep it on 7 maybe. Turn it up to 9. Get it a little hot so it browns nice on the outside. And I'm gonna rinse these and cut them up in a minute. Okay, so good sharp knife. Watch yourself. I inevitably cut myself. I don't know if this is the right way to cut peppers or not, but this is the way I do it when I have to take the seeds out of them. So I just kind of get the top, cut them right down the middle, and then that way I can scrape the seeds out. You just pull this, you reach your hand in there and just kind of grab that whole little seed pod, and it comes out pretty decently. We throw that away, or at some point we make a garden and try to grow some peppers, but I'm not there yet, so we're just gonna toss these. They'd be good in a compost pile, I suppose. I'm not quite that rural yet, but I will get there. So we take all these seeds out. Now we got a piece of pepper on that one. Then we're gonna rinse them, clean all those seeds out. Yeah, I'm a little nervous about this driver's thing tomorrow because they do give a test, apparently, and they probably want to screen out people from Florida since we're moving up here by the droves, so they're probably going to ask me all kinds of like really technical questions and I'm going to fail, but hopefully it's just kind of road signs and common knowledge, and I've been driving for quite a long time, so I think I know some of it, but I'll get back to you. Hopefully I won't fail. You'd be ashamed of your mom. Failing a driver's test after, I don't know, what am I, 62? How many years have I been driving? A long time. All right, so now we're going to slice these up. I like to slice them nice and thin. And just get them all about like that. Nice little thin down the side. I'm talking while I'm doing this, but I'm going to confess to you that I'm a counter, and for some reason I just like numbers go through my head every time I'm cutting, so I always cut the amount of cuts I'm making. But thanks for the therapy, and hopefully I don't have to pay you for that. I don't know what that means. Does anyone else do that? I don't know. I do it all the time. So we're cutting and we're cutting. In the meantime, these sausages are cooking and getting nice and brown. You definitely want to make sure they're cooked like all the way through, whether it's pork or turkey, because it's really not good if it's not. You're gonna get sick. So just overcook them. So basically I cooked them up pretty much all together, the sausage first, and then I put the peppers in there and let that all cook together, but mostly I let the sausage cook because it needs to cook a lot. And the sausage not so much. I mean the peppers not so much. Alright, look at that. It's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And now we're gonna turn this off for a second while I get everything else set up. Okay, so these are browned up pretty good. And they've cooked all the way through. I smash them up a little more. I don't see any pink. So I'm going to just add a little bit more oil. I have one of these little spouty things. And then I'm going to throw the peppers in. Now see, the thing is, if it was pork sausage, I would have to dump out a bunch of the fat before I did this, or not, depending on if you like that. But with the turkey sausage, you don't really have to do that because it's not really very fatty. So I'm turning this down to about 4 or 5, and I'm going to cover it, and then the moisture from the peppers is going to kind of fill in and make it a little more juicy, because right now it's pretty dry. So that's, but you want to turn it down to about 4. Don't let it get too burny on the bottom. Speaking of Bernie, the Republican National Convention is going on, 2020, for posterity, in case this video makes it for a while. And I was just listening to a lovely podcast on NPR about 1968 and the election with Richard Nixon. Strange parallels going on in the way they try to use fear to scare the suburban white women with kind of code language that's not overtly racist, but things like property values and good school districts and safety for our families, you know. Boy, don't we hear the same stuff going on now. But God knows it got Nixon in because people got scared. I sure hope they're not going to fall for that same shite this time around. But, well, it's in God's hands. Well, no, it's in ours too. We got to vote. And vote for stopping the hemorrhaging right now of our country. And that's going to cook for a little while. And I'm going to, like I said, I lowered it down to about 3 or 4. Let it cook. I'm going to serve this with quinoa, which I'm going to show you how to make in a few minutes. And this is really good. Quinoa is a superfood. It's a super grain that has all the aminos and proteins and fiber and great stuff. So it's healthy for you. So hopefully you'll eat it. Well, it's just kind of like a vehicle, just like a grit is, or rice. You can serve it with anything. It just picks up the flavor of whatever you're doing with it. All right, so we're going to pick that back up in a few minutes. Okay, so our quinoa, I always forget these ratios between all the grains I cook, but quinoa is like 2 to 1. So we're going to do a cup of water to a half a cup of quinoa. So I'm going to do a cup of water. Get ready for that in the pot, and then a half a cup of quinoa. And what you have to do with quinoa is to, I just remembered how we used to laugh at that when we first heard it on Ellen DeGeneres, when they highlighted that website for pronunciations, and it was like a messed up one where people were given false pronunciations of the words, and one of the words was quinoa, which I have to confess that like only 5 years ago I did not know how to say, but they said Coca-Quinoa. Coca-Quinoa. They said it like different every time, and we just laughed, but it is quinoa is the pronunciation. So quinoa has got to be rinsed for some reason. I don't know why. I've never seen anything weird come out of it, but so I'm measuring a half cup of that. Oh, that's about going to take me through my little bag, almost. And I put it in my little strainer, and I'm going to rinse it. And this gets boiled up all together, not like pasta where you add the pasta after, or like oatmeal where you add the oatmeal while it's boiling. This is, you put it all in together, and you bring it to a boil. And then you reduce it. So once you bring it to a nice rolling boil, you then reduce it and cook it for, I don't know, I always have to look. I do this every time, so don't feel bad. But I have to look at the bag. Half the time I put it in the cabinet and then I have to get it back out. So it's 1 cup of water to half cup of quinoa, and you bring it to a boil and you reduce it and you cover it and let it simmer for 15 minutes. Okay, so we're going to let it boil and then we're going to let it simmer. Meantime, the peppers are cooking. The sausage, I did add a little water. I'm not going to lie, because these were kind of dry, the peppers, so I added a little water. But they're steaming up nice and cooking in there with the sausage. And I really didn't add any spice to that or anything. Usually I do, but you know, it kind of depends on what you like. So I'm just going to really pretty much salt and pepper it when it's done cooking, and it's always good. And I'll serve it on the quinoa. So I'm going to turn this up and let this cook. And in the words of my friend Julia Child, bon appetit, and save the liver. And I'll show it to you when it's all done. All right. Well, we have our quinoa, which is cooked in at 15 minutes, and then comes off, and it's just kind of nice and fluffy, sort of like rice. Take it off the heat for after it's done cooking, and we'll just leave it covered for a bit. I'm going to pour a little bit in a bowl, probably more than a little bit. Actually, I'm going to take some of that out because I'm not that hungry. Usually I am, but and then we're going to put a little of the sausage. Oh, there it goes. See, I'm terrible at this. Julia Child, I ate, but we're going to take some sausage and peppers. Look how yummy. And this is probably enough for 3 people that eat normally. In our family, we'd have to make twice as much, especially if Ryan was going to be eating. But actually, it's more than enough for me right now, but I'm going to put a little bit of sausage, a little bit of peppers on top of the quinoa, and yes, I'm going to salt it because I didn't before. I do like me my salt though, I'm not going to lie. Pepper. And there you go. We have a lovely sausage and peppers with quinoa, which is kind of pretty healthy. I'm going to probably have it with a piece of my rosemary bread that I made fresh the other day. I'll tell you how to make that another time. It's ridiculously easy. I did not know that all these years. Anyway, bon appetit. Love you. Next lesson, who knows what it'll be.